Hello everyone, this is Bishal, Dhakal and Kushal Paudel. Welcome to the BD podcast episode powered by the BD Universe. We are here at the BRMC building, and today we have got the special guest Suzanne Ryan-Evers. She is the CEO of BRMC. Today we are discuss about how BRMC is supporting multiculturalism, cultural diversity and inclusivity. In Ballarat, there are more than 15,000 people from the different background. So I'll ask Suzanne, could you please share about your journey? What led you to become the CEO of BRMC, and what does BRMC mean?
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for having me today. And I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit more about what we do. BRMC stands for the Ballarat Regional Multicultural Council, and it was formed 25 years ago. I haven't been there. I'm not old enough to have been here 25 years. Mm-hmm. But it was formed 25 years ago as I suppose, in response to multiculturalism here in the Ballarat region. Whilst we've had migrants in the region, for hundreds of years, it's only been, as I said, 25 years since BRMC was formed. And that was, as I said, in response to a recognised need to support new arrivals and new community groups that were making Ballarat their home. My journey here, I only came here 7 years ago. I'm a Melbourne girl. My husband retired and he wanted to move to the country. So I thought, I can do my business from home for a while. And so I came up here and we bought ourselves a farm just outside of Ballarat. He became a farmer overnight, and I realised after a couple of months that I wasn't a farmer girl. So I started exploring more my own work, and that landed me some work here at BRMC. But the initial work that I was doing was more around operations and setting up what we know now as the Ballarat Welcome Centre. So establishing it as a building where people, particularly new arrivals, but particularly our people from our migrant communities, could come, could feel safe, could feel welcomed, and it was going to be their first port of call. So when they arrived in town, maybe they were asking the council or other services, the library, wherever, where can they go to find services, find supports. People would then direct them to the Ballarat Welcome Centre. So, as I said, in my first couple of years, I was setting up the Ballarat Welcome Centre. Like behold, I stepped into the acting CEO role when the former CEO, Anne Foley, decided to take her next adventure interstate. And so I stepped into, as I said, the acting role. And within a year, I found myself with the CEO hat on. So, it's been a whirlwind of the last, 2.5 years nearly, but one which I'm feeling very, very humbled by and happy to be part of.
That's a beautiful story.
For the listeners who may not know about BRMC, can you let us know what are its mission and objectives? What does BRMC do?
BRMC, or the Ballarat Regional Multicultural Council, we exist to work with our partners, so with government, with members, with our stakeholders, to ensure that there is support and services available for multicultural people in our region. A big part of our work is also advocacy, so we do quite a bit of advocacy and lobbying to government and those higher members in our community to ensure that multiculturalism is forefront of their thinking and their policy decisions, and that Ballarat is very much part of their thinking and their policy making, so that we can ensure indirectly that when people come to our region, they have the best supports around them so that they can live the lives that they want to. And more importantly, when they do get here, they want to stay. So they don't find it a negative experience, they find it a positive experience. They find all the supports that they need and they want to make Ballarat their home.
Nice.
That's really interesting. And thanks for that. As you know, Ballarat is the main hub for the immigrants. They like to settle in Ballarat. They love to work here as we have got lots of hospitals and industrial zone here in Ballarat. So my question is, what are the challenges faced by the migrants when they settled in Ballarat, and what BRMC is doing to address their problems?
Sure. Look, we firstly, we're very grateful and we're thrilled that migrants do want to come to our region, and they see it as a place that has the infrastructure and that welcoming feeling about it, that they want to come and settle in the region. But we know there are challenges. Probably housing would be up there as maybe number one. So housing affordability, but also availability. So we know there's a shortage of housing. And for anybody now entering the world of finding a house, anywhere in Australia, it's difficult. It's it's so expensive now. It's a huge commitment. So we do understand that that's probably one of the biggest challenges when people come to the region, no matter where they come from. Ballarat is growing so quickly that we also recognise that there's transport issues. So public transport, we know that a lot of the new housing estates are being built out of the city centre. But at the moment, I think the public transport system is trying to catch up with that. So we hear quite a bit of people moving out to those regions, but when maybe it's a one-car household or when it's a no-car household, it's very difficult for people to sort of access the services that they need, let alone come into town to a restaurant or to for entertainment purposes or something. So we know that there's public transport issues. We work very loudly to try and get that changed, but we know it's going to be a slow process for that to happen. I think another challenge is employment. So many of our migrants will come to the region with certain skills, and when they get here, there might not be those jobs available for them at that time. So they have to pivot and find something else to do until that work becomes available. I'm not a migrant. My father was, and I had to pivot when I came here. It's like, I can't get work as in the conference industry because Ballarat's already has that area filled. So that's when I had to sort of think and pivot and take what I could. But that's, I think, part of the journey. But we're very much about, if we talk about what BRMC is doing in that area, we're very much about trying to connect with people and help them on the pathway to employment. So helping them with the resumes, helping them meet with the agencies that are connected to workplaces who have jobs available. So that's how we sort of look after that area. I think health and well-being is another challenge. So I can certainly identify with, when multicultural community members come to our area, that our health system's quite different to probably the one that they've come away from. We have our challenges. I was only at a meeting last night where we were talking about, we were asking our community leaders, how do they access health and health services when they need them? And the topic of the discussion was around cancer screening. So, there's lung cancer screening, bowel cancer screening, breast cancer screening, cervical cancer screening. And we're aware that whilst all these services are free here in Ballarat, that a lot of migrant community members aren't accessing them. And so we're trying to understand better, well, what are the barriers and how can we as a service connect better the multicultural communities and the health services that are available to them, and particularly the free ones. There are free services available, and there's ways to for us to connect with communities and ensure that people know what's available to them and help them access them. A couple of other ones, language and education. So many migrant communities come here with English as their second language. So we feel that there is an opportunity for us to help them access language education where it's needed. If they have young children, we have our Diversity Homework Club, and that's an after-school program that is really about working with younger children who they might be very intelligent, but they are lacking in that confidence because they're in a new country. They've been put into a new school with other kids that aren't speaking their language. So the Homework Club's all about working with these kids and the parents to boost their confidence so that when they get into the school programs, they're feeling really good about themselves and they're able to get through curriculum and a little bit better or a little bit easier, but also we're giving them that confidence to make friends. And I think the last challenge is around social inclusion or social engagement, that we know that many migrants will come to the region, they have their communities, but we're about trying to ensure that those communities feel a part of the broader community. So we're about trying to create activities, create events, create programs where social inclusion is made easy and the communities, the members all feel very, very welcome to be a part of that broader community.
Yeah, lots of challenges that I can see.
Long answer.
Answered well. Yeah, glad to know that you have been working hard and well enough to address those challenges. Suzanne, let's talk about the government, NGOs and the community stakeholders. Have you been receiving enough support from them?
Oh, that's a two-edged sword, that one. BRMC, so we're about 98% funded by government, federal government, state government, and I think one of the biggest part of my role is lobbying and advocating for the funding that we need to run as an organisation and do the services or provide the services that we provide. The last few years has been very challenging because the government, particularly our state government, who we know that they've had to do a lot of budget cuts over the last 2 years. Part of that reason was probably during the COVID times, and they spent a lot of money, rightly so, and we're pleased that they did, and a lot of money went into COVID programs, and now they're catching up. This is, I think, in my simplistic understanding of it all. So they have made a lot of cuts, and we have felt that. So as I said, a good part of my role at the moment is reminding them that we need the funding. The programs that we deliver are so important, and without us being able to run those programs and even exist, the government will have a problem connecting to our multicultural communities. So one, yes, it will impact on our communities directly. They won't be receiving the support that they need. But two, we're very much that integral conduit between government and the communities. So what the government need to talk to communities about. So things about health, things about transport, things about emergency management and preparation, we're that conduit, or we're that link between what they want to have said, or what they want communities to know about, and what the communities need to know about. So take us out of the loop. If we weren't here, we think that there'd be a bit of a crisis.
Hopefully, government will provide a good amount of funding to your organization. And
My fingers are always crossed.
Finger crossed.
Yes.
And you can have a good collaboration with the NGO and other community leaders and organization. So here, the specific for the Nepalese community is from the recent data, we have got nearly 3,000 people living in Ballarat, moving from Sydney and other states because they love the to be working environment and weather, I reckon. Is personally you are involving in the Nepalese programs, and we have got a good bonding that you comes every time in the Nepalese program. So how has a BRMC, specifically BRMC, engaged with the community?
Gosh, I think when I first came to the seat, it was probably the Nepalese community that jumped out the most to me, because Ballarat has seen so many communities come in, and the Nepalese community is a very young and vibrant community. And the fact that, my gosh, that it's 3,000 people now in Ballarat region, well, that's just amazing. I'm so surprised by that, but that's such a great thing. Look, we're excited by a new community coming into the region, because with it comes a whole new culture and a whole new dynamic, and we're just so open to working with community to understand better what the community actually needs from us, whether it's addressing any of those challenges that I met earlier, or whether it's about connection or engagement with other services within the Ballarat region. We just, as said, through, I suppose, engagement, when I come to community events, or when my team come out to them, or when your community engage with our events, our ears are always open. So there's reason for those connections. There's reasons for us to come out to those events, because it's through them that we can hear and we can engage with, or gauge what is actually needed by this particular community group. And that's what we, as said, go away with, and then we try and work. If we recognise, there might be an issue or there might be a need, then we can talk with leaders and say, right, how do we get around this? What can we do for you? Can we connect you with this group? We're only a small organisation, so we don't provide hundreds of services, but we can connect with hundreds of services. So we know what service provision is available, and that's where, we like to work with communities and make sure that they're getting those connections to what they're needing.
That's really good. As I remember recently that BRMC has organized regular health checkup for the Nepalese community in the Lucas Hospital. That's really interesting, and most of the people love it.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll get a second one happening. Yeah. It's look, that was one initiative, and all these initiatives, I must commend our partners who help us run these programs. The Multicultural Access Program is the one that you're referring to, and it only started, about 12, 18 months ago, and that was through government funding. So they recognised that there was a need, that they had, once again, this health service monster that was that a lot of migrant communities weren't accessing, and they were trying to work out, well, why don't the migrants go to the hospital? Why don't they have GPs? Or why don't they access the screening services that are available? And so one of the things was, we did quite a bit of research with Ballarat Community Health around those issues, and we're still doing that. It's a continual research and responding to the research. So what we knew was that some migrants didn't have GPs, they didn't have general practitioners or their own doctor, that they were going to the hospitals for their medical support. Others just weren't even going to seek medical support. They were just looking after themselves, or community were looking after community. And so the Multicultural Access Program was set up. It's a nurse-led clinic, and it runs every Thursday, so 4 times a month, so in the mornings and in the afternoons. And it's open to just the multicultural communities. So it's held here at BRMC, which is a known place for our communities. They come here, they feel welcome, they feel safe, and they know that they can have those private, confidential discussions with people here who will help them then access the services that they need. So through that program, we've been helping many individual migrants with that initial support. So they meet with the nurse, they can talk about an issue that they might have health-wise, physically or mentally, and that nurse will guide them to where they need to go next. And they'll even hold their hand. They'll take them to an appointment. But it's a soft service that people are feeling really comfortable with. And from that weekly service, we're now running individual multicultural clinics. So we know the Nepalese community had their clinic, a few months back. We held these at Lucas, but we've also held them out at the Hindu temple. So whatever works with the community, we'll set up a clinic, and it's a day clinic. It can have lots of information sessions. So it really is guided and directed by the community for the community, but with our help. So we help them get it happening. So if the community want to know about women's health, or if they want to know about men's health, or sexual health, or cancer, whatever is sort of the community want more information about, we can get that happening at this particular clinic. As I said, we know we've had one with the Nepalese community, but with the funding now renewed for another 12 months, we can actually get a second one happening if the community are in need of it.
Yeah, those clinics, they are really useful and provide information.
So those kind of information, we don't get it anywhere as a migrant. You come here, and if you are a student, you are busy in studying. If you are a worker, you will be working, and suddenly you become ill and you feel like what to do, what's the health system and everything. So such clinics are really beneficial for all the multicultural communities and migrants. That's really beautiful.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, it is. It's a big problem if you look through the community. It is. And talking about the Nepalese community further, from your perspective, what unique contribution that Nepalese bring in Ballarat that help with social, economical aspect of Ballarat?
Youth. I think you are a very young, vibrant community, and it just stands out. As I said, I've been to a couple of your events in the parks and family gatherings, and whilst respectfully you have some of your older generation here, it's the youth that sort of shines through, and just as I said, your vibrance and your eagerness to live and not just be here, but live and be a part of community, that really shines through about, I think, the Nepalese community. It's great to see so many younger children settling in, and I think that's, you're the future of Ballarat. It's we want to ensure that the Nepalese community want to stay in the area, because we see that you're not just a community that wants to sort of stay on their own. You want to be a part of the broader community, and that's going to be inevitable with all your children now growing up here. They're going through our schools. They're the next generation of, who are going to be in our workforce, who are going to be in our universities and our TAFE colleges and in our, as said, in our workforce. So you are building up a really integrated community here in the region. That's exciting.
BRMC has got a long-term vision for the multiculturalism and cultural diversity. Is the Nepalese community fitting on that area vision for the multicultural Ballarat?
Yes. I think for the same reasons that I just mentioned. I think that, our vision is for Ballarat, it is an intercultural city. And so that's what we live in hope for, is that when the different multicultural groups like the Nepalese community come into the region, that they feel an integral part of it, that they feel so supported and so well received, or that they feel part of the jigsaw. And that's how I sort of see Ballarat. It is a jigsaw of 30 plus community and faith-based groups. And so, yes, you're part of the jigsaw, and that's what we want people to feel, that they're welcomed and that they're supported, and that we want them to stay here. We want them a part of the community.
Awesome. And if there's any newcomers who are coming to Ballarat, so how do they get access to the information or services that you provide? Where can I find them?
Certainly. So we encourage, we know that when newcomers come to the area, most of them will come into their community, so they're finding a lot of the information, finding out a lot of information via their community members. But we're also very connected with the City of Ballarat, other different community groups, the libraries, and they all know that when there's newcomers coming into the region, that particularly if they're from a migrant background, that we're probably a first port of call. So they should come to see BRMC. Our doors are open at any time, and we can make an appointment and we can actually speak to them about what services are available. We have a number of activities and programs specific for newcomers. So probably one of our most popular ones is our Welcome Morning Tea, which is on it's once a month, once every 2 months on a Wednesday morning. And it's a morning tea, so it's where people will come along, those that are new to Ballarat, but also those that have been here a while. And it's just a wonderful time for everybody to get together, welcome those who are new to the region. We also have some service providers who come along to each of those morning teas, and they're there to really just talk about what services they provide, and particularly those that are relevant to new arrivals. So City of Ballarat always come along and they tell the audience, and the newcomers, what they have available, what services that they can access. Some of our emergency service providers come along, different services. So here is very much that first port of call for migrants. They should come and see us, and they should sign up for our newsletter, because that's very much a place where people can get information about what's on, what's happening. We also have our women's friendship group, which is so we find a lot of the couples that come here, the men have got their jobs when they first get here, but the women are at home, either alone or they're looking after their young ones. Well, that friendship group is every week, and we hope that those women will come along because they need to find friends. They need to have that support, and they need to feel engaged in the community, because we don't want them saying, "Oh, I want to go home. I don't like it here." We want everybody to like it here. The partners and their partners, because we just need social inclusion is just so important. So the other program that we've got for young mums is our multicultural play group. So that's every Thursday, and that's for young parents and their little ones. And once again, that's not so much the play group for the children, but it's also a meeting spot for the parents, so those young parents who need that connection and need to talk about, what's like raising a young bubby in a new country. So it's very much, as I said, our activities are very much about creating and encouraging that social inclusion so that people feel safe and welcome here in their new country, in their new place.
Thanks for being so welcoming. That's one more reason to call Ballarat a home.
Yeah.
And talking about the multicultural events and festivals, they are a big part of Ballarat life. So how do you think they help in strengthening unity among the people in Ballarat and understanding different groups? How does that help?
The fact that the government give money out to multicultural communities to run their festivals and events is evidence that they're so important. And we encourage all our communities to run their own community events. But the government are very much, they give out the funding because they just don't want communities to run their own events. They want them to run events that are all inclusive, because it's so important for not only the migrants to feel included and part of the community, but we want the community, that broader community, to be engaged with the different communities that are coming in.
That's true.
And the best way of doing that is to run these community events and festivals, which we love to attend, but we're about also trying to encourage the broader community to also accept those invitations and go along and enjoy the food, enjoy the dancing, enjoy the culture of a group that's now living in their region. So they're incredibly important. And, in times where everybody is so busy, some people sort of think, oh, maybe, that's for them and maybe I shouldn't go along. No, we're about encouraging, as I said, particularly those broader communities to come. If they've received an invitation to your events, they should go along and really get to know, we're all living here together, so we want it to be as harmonious and supportive as it can be.
Hopefully community will help each other and attend each other programs.
Absolutely.
And exchange their food, culture, their music and their vibes.
Yeah.
So in Ballarat we have like Bangladeshi community, Nepalese, Indian and lots of community here living in Ballarat. So what do you think, how migrant communities maintain their cultural identity while also living in Australia in the wider society?
They shouldn't be afraid to.
Yeah. Because I found that some people a bit like scared or...
Yeah. And look, there is, I'm very sad with what happened on the weekend with the marches for immigration. That's just a very, very sad mark on Australian society. But I think what we try and encourage is that everybody's culture is very, very important, and you can keep your culture and still feel part of the new country that you're residing in or that you're living in. And you should remain proud of your culture. That's where you were born. That's where your traditions are and your cultures. And you don't... There's no call on people to, when they come to our country, to Australia, to drop the culture that they come with. That's your colour, that's your traditions, that's your personality, and that's just so important to keep that. And once again, I think that's why, we see the government encouraging people to do their festivals and keep their cultures going. That's why we at the moment, so we're about to launch a story time program for mums and little ones, so that, because we think that the mother tongue is so important, that we, I'm so jealous that here I am sitting in a room with people who speak more than one language, and I really only have English as I know that we were all brought up to try and do a language at school, but it was like, oh, we're not interested. I speak a little bit of German because of my background, but people are coming in with such a with so many languages and so much education, and it's nothing that you should feel you should hide away. It's bring it to the front, share it, and yes, there is you'll witness or experience, I think, negativity in some aspects of the community from time to time, but I think what I take comfort in is knowing that they're the minority. They might be the loudest at some times, as in the people who say, like our people who are marching on Sunday, but they are a minority, and I think if we can just not listen to them or not see them as a minority and not see them as the majority. I think the majority sort of sit back and are quiet, but they're the ones that are supporting the country that we've got.
What do you think the government, the Anthony Albanese government, will respond to the march that they did last days?
What will the action?
What they respond, basically, I mean to say?
Well, I attended... I think they're trying to keep a blanket on it. I think they're trying to... It's the media that blow it up, and the media can get us all into trouble sometimes. I think the Albanese government, they weren't silent, but they don't want to inflame a situation, because it was a minority of very... ugly people that were stirring the trouble, and the majority of Australians don't support what they were doing. So I think what I can say is I was at the Premier's multicultural dinner on Saturday night, and government representatives were present in the room, so state government representatives, and their speeches that night were incredibly powerful in a positive way. So they were talking about the positivity of multiculturalism, the fact that room, I think there were nearly 1,000 people in the room, and all from all aspects of multicultural backgrounds, too many to mention, and they were talking about the impact of multiculturalism in Australia, and how it's across all levels, across all workforces, their engagement in professional work, in across all industry sectors, hospitality, health, manufacturing, engineering. It's Australia is a multicultural nation, and that hiccup on Sunday was so unnecessary. We've just got to focus on the positive, what is positive, and how positive Australia is because of this history of multiculturalism. It's not recent. It's, we are a multicultural nation. If we're not, I heard somebody say recently, which it surprised me, and it's like, if we're not Indigenous, if we're not Indigenous, we are all of migrant backgrounds. So every Australian have generations behind them that came from other countries, except our Indigenous.
Yeah, Australia is a beautiful country. People here have been always welcoming to me. Like, I have been here for 8 years, and there has never been a single episode where I feel like there was racism or something.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah, people here are so welcoming, warm, and accepting of the culture and everything. But it's only a minority, those people, they do the evil act, and then it shows a different face, but the reality is different. Australia is a beautiful country.
And many people have commented that it's the march that happened last Sunday. It's not done by the Australians.
Well, they
What's
can't.
your point of view?
Yeah, they can't really identify who the organisers are. They're in hiding. That's how ugly they are. They won't come out and own up to being the owners or the organisers. And I think it was just evident, there's a real neo-Nazi element, and they're just about hate. They're just about gathering a momentum around hate, and it's a power thing. And I think, as I said, the government are right in just putting a blanket on it and just not fighting them, because that's what they want. So
I think what they wanted to ask and demand from the government was proper housing, stable housing, and all that things. But kicking the migrants out, what they said in their march, it's they should understand that it's not going to help solve their problems, because if a migrant leave, who is going to construct all these houses? They should understand that. And
you just said it.
Yeah.
They need the migrants as part of their workforce, and I think gosh, that's a whole nother discussion.
Let's move
We'll
on.
discuss.
We have limited time.
Yeah.
So talking about young people and emerging leaders, so how BRMC has been supporting the next generation from multicultural backgrounds to take the leadership roles?
So as I said, we're very much working with our partners to identify communities, particularly those who have a young generation coming through. We're sitting in the same building as Centre for Multicultural Youth. They're actually in the office next door, and we work closely with them. They run a lot of youth programs which are focused on leadership and leadership development. We run our homework clubs, and they're very much about building confidence in children and steering them into the opportunities that are available through our education system. We did run a youth group as well, and we're hoping that we'll get more funding soon so that we can repeat that program, because it was very good for our secondary students to get involved in. Once again, it's about building these children up to know that they have skills, and they can develop that confidence so that they can enter into programs and further development that will take them into their next chapters in life.
As you can see that the number of migrants in the major cities like Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane has increased recently. So what do we think like the regional cities like Ballarat is playing the future of Australia for the multiculturalism?
So if I get the question correct, so where does Ballarat sit within the future? Look, I think that, and this is a personal response to that because I'm not sure what the real answer is or what the government might say, but my thinking is that a lot of people will, when they come to Australia, they come to one of the main cities because that's one of the main, it's where the biggest infrastructure and, but it's, I think what Ballarat offers is a different opportunity. So it's that opportunity of, it's not a huge city. You can find a community here in Ballarat that you can identify with. But Ballarat still has an incredible infrastructure in place, so it has got work opportunities, so it's got employment opportunities. It's I think that migrants can come here and see the economic advantages of Ballarat and what it has to offer. So it's a country change sort of opportunity, but it has got a lot of infrastructure and support networks in place.
Your organisation has been doing all this work for the migrants and multicultural people. So for our listeners, if they want to help you guys as well, so talking about giving back to you guys, being a migrant, how can we support Ballarat and organisation like BRMC?
Oh, thank you for asking. Attend our, I think we're here for you. So what we want is a two-way conversation. We want to hear from you. So one of the most recent things that I've initiated at BRMC are the monthly meetings, of which, Bishal, you were here for them last night. They're a really, really important vehicle for BRMC. They're held once a month, and they're an opportunity for all the leaders of the different communities to come together in one room. They can hear from us about what we're doing and what programs or activities we've got coming up, and they can hear about the programs that we've heard about from others that we think are relevant for communities. But they're also an incredibly important vehicle for communities to tell us what they need, what issues might be going on in their communities, if they've got issues with their youth or if they've got issues with employment or with housing or racism or anything. We need to hear that. So these meetings are really important for people to come along to and to speak up and share. Because sometimes we've got the answer there and then in that meeting, or the other community members that are sitting around the table might have really good answers or great responses. So, what can you do for us? Come to those meetings, come to any other activities, encourage your members that if we've got the parent and children programs happening or the health programs, if you know that there are members in your community that could access and get support from those, we need community to share that information and to take advantage of what we can offer so that their members, so that their community can feel like they're supported, not just by their community but the broader community, by us. Yep.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time. I think we are at the end of the podcast now. Thanks for all those beautiful words, beautiful deeds that you and your organization does. Thanks, Suzanne, for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.